Hello, Species Value Nature System. This is Anthony Wall from youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall and Little Rap Guy and Friends, which I'm having problems with the codecs, but I'm going to bring them into these videos here, but into the real value nature system because they can heal the real value nature system, which value nature is inside values nature. Since I was a kid, I've studied how interscience physical delusions and lies in theater positive, which is very easy to study if you use correlation nature. Look at that's why we have a mass scales, a pathology of infrastructure since before the births of modern nations founders who didn't have free speech, didn't have honest sequence treatment of history that came before them, of standing databases used for what many ways is recorded, caused to lie progressions. As we can see, nature as an identity of volume with an identity of relation to itself, which is the gain of our volume here, or as if forced away from here, length of high D's. So we'll see the identity of English, of each of the letters of the English language, they share an identity. So I'm a master on the nature of English grammar, which is about the identity the sciences share. And has been since semi-ancient times, since before modern religions. This has been worse than obfuscated, tactically obfuscated, effectively, to maintain defenses of tactically degraded human fact treatment nature, value, and quality in relationship to relationship to itself, which is simultaneously an inseparable relationship to invisible but still discernible body of value discernment, which is together grouped and progressively itself, like sequence nature is, a whole bunch of simultaneous nature, value, as one body of value system unto itself. An identity that is attached onto all other parts of nature. See, we're going to have to take positions with the ancient gaming system through counterpositions, because there are misprision woven differences of physical opinions, metaphysical, sharing the same lies and delusions, recorded, obfuscating this identity of relationship to and as the value of a Trinity, which is still only three semi-natures as identity as semi-nature. Every complete identity has an unceasing semi-nature relationship to the perfect value progression, which forces it, not force, which only stays realized. And when that's not realized, then we contribute to the perfection of its identity as negative value nature experiences to the contribution of our own individual identities. This is the course that we share. See, there is positive and negative unity. This is what I'll agree about: clean water, not criminally foreign influence zoning laws. But see, this agreement is denied by offensive liars, maintained victim predator. Forgiveness was for this. This is also, see, we have natures of online policing, people associated with wondering how they could what they could do about patterns in crime that are recorded furthering them because they're preventing mandated law. They're pretending that states and areas have the right to lie and not to be sued where they don't. As Crime Act CT interbranch each year of my life through this is not, these aren't allegations either recorded. I'm talking about recorded non-debatable things. Only debatable when you're relying on databases that are illusion stacked with this. Two O'Brien families. I never had brothers. When I was a kid, I never had I never had a class with them ever. And I don't know if they went to my middle school or to my high school. I don't think they did. They went to a private school, apparently. But they're associated with interbranch family members, drug cliques, identity theft cliques, and crime acts and cases, and with fake news, and with Sandy Hook, database campuses, sequence shifts, predators, people on Two Rod Highway and on Hangdog Lane, and with the Berlin Turnpike, and spot a whole bunch of people with spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike associated with state police, and with I believe his name. I want to say the same name because I think there was two people with the same first name, but two different last names. But it's a person associated with family with the gravestone place right directly at the end of the Berlin Turnpike before the heart of Hartford. And Cedar Hill Cemetery is right on the left. That Joey Quest recorded confessed crimes with interbranch family members, with identity thefts, with complete strangers, ones they influence to come to you to make confessions, in other words, just to walk by you, and for through time roles that they're facilitating misprision. Well, I'm not a lawyer, not police force, I'm not criminal. Misprision, I'm saying whole bunch of people involved with the same methods and natures of crime. The same natures of crime that there are, but other methods of it. Fact sheet nature wise, how to get away with it, how to act, behavior crimes. See, especially with psychology, we have this. People don't realize this, and how many misprision doctors they have involved with database crimes, wire crimes, and how extensive each modern nation is let realize areas and states leaders valuing conflict with other nations because that's what they need to justify their roles with pseudosciences to areas, not by accident. That's why they value the problems that they blame on racism, because they need something other to blame than the theft of our free speech, identity thefts, theft of our American history. You can't defend American history if you justify the if you say that we're not in a tactically denatured relationship to nature, especially below bottom forsaken people, because everyone's blaming it on other things, invested valuing it, because we have our founders left us to have free speech, but we don't have it. We have fake news at the same time, stealing our identities, switching sequences, attaching each age of fact cheating nature to fake ties to others, spreading rumors and lies about and with overt criminal enterprises through kids in grammar schools with a crime method with this, where they start the behavior crimes with sequence shifts. Like a Debbie Gold, I've never had anything to do with her. I didn't notice her in class or anything. I've noted the exceptions before because it's a behavior crime where they get mad, pretend they had a conversation with you, don't even know what they're talking about. And that's with other people being pretended, where we have people associated with databases and with the misprision criminally involved with, a hospital is on a campus and that's attached to all ages of campuses and natures of them, even private ones. So there was a bunch of people with kids my age that didn't go to my school, well, around the high school, and such associated with the middle school, and that was used to for identity thefts, and that's interbranch families also now caught with the principal sex offenders campus recorded further still active. This is also tied to how criminal their motivations for roles with it. Men and women interbranch were tied to the witness protection program has direct and indirect ties to the area, with the FBI recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved criminally in the area with kids, and with federal criminal co-defendants of them. A former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, who had a daughter in my grade criminally involved, with one of the ones criminally involved was Heather Hansen. Now these are people associated with Washington D.C. and with CCSU criminally before I ever went there. And so that's why they're using confessions and demonstrations from people that are fit to misprision criminality, because then these are people that you don't see in the same location at the same time, and they're influenced, where they can't go back there and tell the truth, and or they think they're pretending in the background that they did things for other reasons than they did. In other words, we have interbranch men and women influencing fake news and crime acts in cases, and just using their databases and extending criminal uses of databases with private and with areas. And that's being used to cover their lie progressions and maintain how we influence. How we have a whole bunch of nations, of hundreds of nations, Russians and Americans are against their own and our own. They're here valuing the conflicts as the ones they're here sharing policing using psychology for election crimes against their own and against ours and against whoever wins. This is preventing presidents from countering states and areas collusion with fact cheating nature rackets, requiring equality of fact cheating nature that's not playing games with what facts are, what truth is, especially when our history is about a method of organized crime that was a whole bunch of ones bonded the same exact way until you have to free speech. But we have fake news stealing our identities with interbranch, stealing our identity was forging names interbranch, switching names interbranch. So I offered the New York game to help reparations. New York, because they had not a campus to give them legal representation, so they're out on corners, and or it's police. Anyways, legal identities recorded criminally foreign influence victim predators, victims, but victim predators. That's not law. These are not beings. These are not means that will just appear. So we're going to have to train instead of going right to the New York game. And that's how we're going to do it. We're going to fight for reparations. We're going to set up something to build the New York game from that. No matter what, that's going to be the base. And that'll be, all kinds of reparations. But fact treatment nature wise, it's just too simple to demonstrate the sabotage of correlation nature, which is a Trinity, which is three natures of volume: inherent, active, and progressive. And that's bonded. And this is what the 5 pillars of Islam are about as well. This is about, and when you really put Islam in sequence, in the Old Testament in sequence, it's also about, even if you agree to that, it's still negative value nature if you're not understanding how it's a simultaneous nature. The other religions, when they're trying to be understanding of the identity shared onto all things, also positive onto itself. That's a system that's positive onto that, inherent, active, and progressive at the same time. I just remind. So through time, we had Congress recorded effectively used to invest child offenders, identity theft roles. If you agree with states and areas, parties, and or the alternatives, you're holding convictions with the justifications with the justifications of an abridged constitution, of sensibilities used offensively originally and still sickly. Can't defend that on paper without sequence shift denials, without needing to hide live aggressions by stealing people's identities with various natures of crime acts and actors, and investing people into that recorded with the same little articles. And see, they're pretending that courts should they're pretending that courts have the integrity to deal with suits. They're pretending because they're forging names and switching names into branch. So how could I sue? They're lying to the Attorney General of the United States through time, with mass states and areas Attorney General, all in the court, each position, not just of branches, all private to it, not just that, not just all positions. This is why we have overt criminal enterprises with our areas, known, quote, and unknown, to quote, taking into different kinds, but this is inseparable because we have our species volume, two sexes, grouped nature of volume, which has nothing to do with sex. That's what sex is a demonstration of. And where that's not true, that's in demonstration of what sex is about. Three natures of volume are key, but only when they're working together. Individual, grouped, and progress and together. Species volume, sexes, individual volume. Each comes from a man and a woman. If you say that a man can't speak about value, see, that's because we're having fights about because they're forcing value nature system used to force denial of what our obligations were originally instilled. It's not to play, oh, that's the Marcus positions. It's just got slavery in it. What's that? Extortion, male crime. There are all kinds of torture, not free speech. You know, worse than torture. Tactical pseudo education, offensive evidence reception crime, roles, natures, and predators. Sensibilities know that need a nature of positive theater, positive criminal seriousness nature. I'm not a lawyer, not police for, not a criminal. So I hope before Christmas, I hope alhamdulillah, ahim. Now in English, what's that mean? Not translating Arabic. It means, I believe, thank God. Alhamdulillah. I believe. With English, ahim, del, ahim, it's a little more than poem. It's a little distinct from a poem, but it's a type of poem, I guess. I have to look up the Dell. It means Thanksgiving. Dell, like the computer Dell, Dell. It means like Thanksgiving. So like thank God. Same thing it means. A hymn Thanksgiving. Himdelillah, the God. A simultaneous nature. Even not just about the physical name. The prayer is about this. It's about what's bonding these three natures of correlation nature. It's about that one complete identity. Everything else is a semi-nature, as a complete nature to see it. Because only its complete nature and its complete nature of relationship to itself that is positive or negative is going to end and stay. Because and that's in relationship to its identity, which is only going to self-perfect on this generated matter and keeps generating it simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly onto and as Earth's value, because most probably we're going to take the position that this is because we're closest to the phenomena of the greatest inherent nature of volume, where and as and how they're separated to a quality of diffusion, and they are inseparable, and they are reacting like that, and that's what's making the more and more forever nature, which we can only be a part of, as we're in how semi nature can only be positive, that is also positive itself onto itself one way. All other semi, and as it, all other semi nature is positive, is negative. And as we'll examine, English is revealed to the teachers, but we need science. We have offensively, formally, physical delusions enter science and criminal foreign influences. And denials of that, I forgot what I was connecting that to. So this is about the obfuscation of predicate value and of predicate act value. A predicate act is like a high crime influenced by a criminal enterprise, or by, in this case, American histories, by a whole bunch of criminal enterprises bonded and criminally legalized ones, because our founders and the founders of each modern nation didn't have free speech. That's one of the reasons, demonstrably, why Mao Zedong, we're not supposed to write about him, because he didn't have free speech. How could he have free speech? They're already, before modern nations, the internation sciences were already criminally re-engineered, and that was to keep all as victim predators Oz. Live progressions tied to all databases, because originally, before internation sciences were criminally re-engineered, they revealed things and were to the gain of the value of areas and states sciences actually, in all ways, not exploiting exceptions. See, now this is where what we have happening. See, because we have psychology with physical delusions. This is about the identity of our natures, as an identity of volume, and as an identity of relationship to itself. That logic really is. See, but we have tactically denatured and delusions wrought and criminally foreign influenced takes on logic. In the physical delusions part, excuse me, are with the value of physics in metaphysical treatments too, because they have the identity treatments. So we have, they're starting fights now and holding and keeping fights and/or pseudo and/or self-defeating unity between President slash Chief Trump and President Macron. I don't know what other, if they have three titles too. I think it's President POTUS and Chief. I don't want to debate. It's not important. The important thing is the sequence shifts the physical delusions recorded in their sciences. So the science of English is about predicate value. The science of communications about the reception of understanding. You know, what we're doing is discerning predicate value with a positive, that when it has an inherently, actively, and progressively positive relationship to itself. The sentence proper. In other words, the sentence, the complete sentence. So, in other words, the complete message of value, understanding, a value progression, of sequence relationship. Let's see. So, the in English is the definite article. Is it is the definite article, and an or a is the indefinite article. Allah in Arabic. Now, see, this is right to left to right about the same thing where that was the other was defended, pretended, realized, and influenced. Pretended and not realized. So, with recorded evidential treatments, with physical delusions, also with natures as criminal insidiousness nature. This is an organized crime term too, because predicate is value in English, as we'll see in the science share. It's in every science. Predicate act influenced by and it is tied to organized crime influences, criminal enterprises. And when we come to American history, which we have to come to, because what's preserved as it now is through criminal foreign influences, physical delusions, and victim predator reaction, all things like that. Because we have identities of jobs, of opinion, natures, of convictions forged through that. So defenses of that are preventing mandated law, so they're preventing anyone from demonstrating it originally and still. What education really is, which this is a confined semi-nature value of the campus Marcius, which is as proper value before it was criminally re-engineered. It's about identity of your ground, of body of value discernment, and of progression's value simultaneously. This is not just about what's positive or negative as an invention that will work or not, but what's further. This is not just positive or negative if you agree on what name is what. This is also about, again, we're going to come to how we're a nature of volume as an identity of volume and with an identity of relationship to itself as an increasing nature of volume unceasingly as a reaction in relationship to itself that is the identity that is shared throughout the nature. What makes a nature positive or negative, thrive or not, or die. Together, all the different identities of value in a nature. See, we have this obfuscated on a right click, looking up on Word. I showed a definition that said, an extent of nature that stops at yourself. See, but we'll get into this semantics and pseudo semantics, which will also take the position that we have to discern that the difference between semantics and pseudo semantics and have that discerned formally. And we have to have formally discerned as real science the difference between rhetoric and pseudo rhetoric, because we have forced what they're using. We have the same people that are valuing all the reactions in relationship to the bombings and the terrorism stuff that were involved. They're valuing it now because of their roles with identity thefts and predicate acts like Trade Center mail crimes, fake conversations with me that weren't at all, not at all, with a Leahy family, identity thefts as doctors, whole family, a Lombardo family, other families also with medical families in my area. I've never had a conversation in my life. recorded, confessed various natures of fake news crime acts with the same stories. They're with fake YouTube pages, a bunch of them pretending to be me, making it look like I'm with a passion crime against one of the Saudi families that they used for our side's recorded predicate acts, trade center crimes in the Ninth Circuit, New York, with the same Connecticut interbranch, intermilitary federal crimes rolls through time. So why don't you report this stuff? Because I'll let you if you let me report any. See, they can't deny anything because they know this is true. It's a crime method where they make problems for students so they can just tire people out, and because they're making fake sides of issues, fake middles of arguments, and so when they come before the courts, they pretend they're care. They're not care. They pretend their righteousness, you know, aggression, and you know, these are worse than killers. Various natures of courts and their family members, how left like this originally still victims, but victim predators, overt predators, many ways. Also, how they are motivated to it, recorded with prison clicks. Also, they put fake news for what they deem legitimate, but used for criminal reasons. Missed too, because they're also even, they're with crimes recorded and confessed with the Fianza family associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso criminally, and then with their family associated criminally with others on and off the state judicial branch office and with houses next to it. Offensive evidence reception crimes consciously and with through time, and with child offenders. They forced a principal sex offender with further tied to his campus and tied to Hartford campuses and to WTNH recorded and confessed with others. A Della Farrow family involved with the judges, recorded, confessed, switching names, forging names, faking recorded things, and with physical delusions, with police forms who are doctors of psychology, foreign and domestic. Crime rolls with justice, our Justice Department and other nations' versions of it, with grandiose conspiracy theories, with misprision blaming others for what they do, fact cheating nature racket, evil, criminal, foreign influence areas through this. Not really what was furthering the overt criminal enterprises recorded in collusion with them through time. Shows orchestration, shows sequence shifting styles, needs, and natures. Many people recorded and confessed tied criminally through time, influenced to it by interbranch and military associated criminally with corners, like the ones with the mobile gas station at Town Line Drive, and with the businesses near there, associated with the drug clicks in my area, tied with untimely deaths and with predicate acts and crimes with Trinity College, forging names, attaching my name to fake things. We have forging names, switching names, crimes on off Hartford Hospital with this Leahy family too. Crimes with the untimely death clicks. And one on the campus of Trinity College. They're attaching me to they have Alicia's, a whole bunch, like 5 or 6 of them with that name from New York that I don't know. See, they're playing fact cheap. This is why we have to have pseudo rhetoric and rhetoric discerned. By having these things obfuscated, inter-sciences, we have trick fact cheaping nature, pretending just to vote is value. When both parties are originally still criminally foreign influence, left that way. Insidiously pretending care for the Declaration of Independence, pretending they believe that that's what freed us. That didn't free us. The surface of the Constitution, free speech, still not here. Still stealing our identities. Sick interbranch, intermilitary fakes. Why do you think they have those reports real or made up? about the all the people killing themselves. Look at Hartford, Connecticut, right on top of a river all the time. You have people right on top of they stack people and exploit them stacked and with overt criminal enterprise forced through them sick standards of money. Never, worse than forsaken, tortured. We have a sick value nature system, and it won't admit. Not admitting that can't do anything but be a live progression nature. But be live progressions in a nature that needs to hide its actually recorded nature into branch, forging names, switching sequences, pretending things recorded, using the Wethersfield Police Department for that, with child sex offenders, and then male and female roles with that. Also, how they were invested to roles growing up, because they're having everyone speak through others, and they're having people demonstrate. So then it's hard for a fact-cheating nature. In other words, they have people online telling people, "Oh, take your meds." Hundreds of people, and they're wondering why. Psycho people. Someone's trying to report sex crime acts. They forced a principal sex offender with these crackpots. See, we have identity thefts, then there's nowhere to report it because they have wire crimes with the phones, with the mail, interbranch, forging, switching names. You know what I'm saying? With sex offenders, with interbranch police, active right now, crimes with WTNH, with East Hartford campuses, with filming the kids, coordinating the identity thefts with these probate courts through time, pretending people can't speak. I speak clearer than the linguists. They're over there spreading lies, pretending conversations with me with creeps from my area. They use creeps that look like child sex offenders to start fights because they're using guns. We have fire departments further criminally involved with this. We're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to talk. There are more for Let's get the names of the judges and from the sequence shifting fabrications. They're recorded torturing my mother not to say anything about their sequence shifts and evidence crimes and sex crime acts against her and against little kids per their needs for the same recorded ones with the same courts criminally involved needed to hide they're recorded and further recorded and proven. Then in other words, a proven sequence shift inside the Ninth Circuit Trade Center attack context is tied to more with the same people, criminals against my family members that were further against me and against them since interstate with the CCSU, CNN, fake news crime acts. Don't take it personal, CNN. Please help. Please fix the fake news crime because that goes with states and areas. Fake news crime acts with WFSB, recorded all kinds of ways with the Dillon family, with a Fienza family, and Joe Aiello, and all these people tied to him, tied to the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso criminally, and to state forensics lab, and to state police families, sensibilities made kept victim predators. We have sick natures with psychology, intersciences, interpolice forms, identities of the law. No, where identity, I told you, is an unceasing semi-nature relationship to complete nature's relationship to itself. Now, you don't have to believe that. So, but you have to be, but they're forcing debatable before what is recorded true always, and not exploiting exceptions. And this is how the volume of logic really works. I'm not a doctor. I'll delineate the delusions of their soul originally and still. Our obligations as Americans and as Russians is to have the physical delusions of psychology and the torture and the criminal justice and the Justice Department rackets, intermilitary rackets, fakes, identity thefts. What coward punk fakes? You see someone go like this because they're all theater from each age. They're making that only value per time and quality of fact sheet nature because they're keeping criminally foreign influence. Line progression cover up nature's needs to have each age of correlation nature, each body of it, even their own kids, per value nature system where they're just it doesn't matter because they're it's tactically ulterior from realities, which is perfect value progression. This is about science. Allah, the first part of the Old Testament. That's why it says all you have to do is understand this part here. This is about Adam and Eve. Adam is the subject, Eve is the verb. We're looking for the main verb when we're predicate value. Our nature, the nature of the volume of the sentence has identity nature inseparable from all parts of it. The value of the alphabet. These are 26 sounds manifest. Why? Because the identity of all things at once and its identity of relationship to itself that is unchanging is manifest. And all things are in demonstration of that. Boxings prepare our souls. And so I prayed for us, for how we're going to do it. You know, reparations, how I can recruit people from here. People, those people in New York City, they're very, I'm not making fun of them at all. In other words, they shouldn't have to do that, is what I'm trying to say, why I'm trying to help them. The people who are very angry, righteous, rightfully, because we have a tactically denatured relationship to nature. So they're standing out on corners preaching about whatever. But I want the ones who are for reparations, who are willing to be complete science, and I won't deny it. See, but when they're using reparations as an incomplete reliefs, and then to have that defended, then you can't defend the convictions with that and ourselves from because you can't be that quality of fact sheet nature without hurting other people with free speech. You have to steal other people's free speech. You have to steal other people's right to religion. They have states and areas pretending they care about religion, specifically to keep religion not allowed free, using psychology by holding it to physical delusions. And when someone comes with religion that they're trying to keep it real, show how the law is criminally foreign influenced, they're ahead of time, pretending they had conversations with people, forging names, typing things into databases, sick things about women, typing sick things that you hear. There are men. You see, but you can't judge about men. There are, especially in New England, especially in cities, we have each age of men and women raised per a crime method that is a behavior crime. See what now? They have everyone a broken grammar school, trick fact sheet in nature, arguing about what is right or wrong. In other words, they're exploiting exception nature. They're using, they're keeping criminally foreign influence states and areas, all levels, interbranch, and their family members. Put offensive evidence reception insulated from everyone's perception as means to hide their lie progressions. And as the ones with the area kept needed simultaneously per the method that has people criminally hiding trade center predicate acts now and criminal uses of sensibilities now because all these shootings and bombs and things as ones that were involved with it when they were kids. In the only context I know them with. And these are people that I didn't know see in the same locations too, which is one of the things they need to pretend. You know, this is not just against me, but I have means to see it because of the director Robert Luskin of the FBI, who was with it, is tied to had a daughter, a co-defendant who was a daughter in my grade, and he's got a lawyer associated with Farmington Avenue, like around there and off of that, which is criminally involved with people with them and with their roles with a proven sequence shift click from inside the Ninth Circuit in the Trade Center attacks context, Manhattan. But these are the same interstates, also Washington, criminally involved clicks from Weathers, my town, went with schools, with crime max, with databases, inclusion each year I went to, which are weird. In other words, fake conversation. So then now through time, they've been pretending things in the background as means to pretend I was in locations and conversations with them that never were. These are also names forging, switching, influence little kids to spreading rumors, pretending people are in the same classes because they're exploiting how they're measuring on off campuses, each age and factory. They're hurting other kids using their own criminally, like this Leahy family. I never had anything to do with the son either. Recorded and confessed involved with crimes with various natures of courts, judges, and criminal uses of girls with a two and of a boy with sex crimes confessed and recorded to our whole class. Further, confessed and recorded, proven, and further recorded now tied to the woman who got the kid, who she said was whacking off to her. Excuse my language. I don't know. In a speech class I had, which is tied to crimes in Washington, D.C. This is also cases that was in Washington court, was in the Trade Center Ninth Circuit, and was in a Connecticut district court in 2006 with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, defendant Robert Luskin, former director, and his lawyer, Robert Chevrolet. And then Thaddeus Grabowski, right before that case, he recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Also, Fox CT did since too, that they were criminally involved with that corner, also with two Domain brothers with identity thefts and with crimes with interbranch forging names clicks and drugs clicks and fake news crime acts and crimes of the Maiano family through time, sequence shifts too, and with the extended relatives, with the house that has extended relatives that were pretending they knew me through time and had a conversation with me behind my back criminally. And these are also ones as a Scalora family that was involved with crime acts further with the Trade Center attack context night before and since. Also, crimes with foreign and domestic families recorded and confessed involved with offensive evidence perception crimes with them. All various natures of them, criminal uses of courts, hallways, their online Facebook pages, the online Facebook pages of the campuses used all kinds of ways sickly, with all kinds of sickly influences tied to this crime method before the drugs. Because these are the worst roles with the drug crimes because they're using them to keep each age and fact sheet nature, each individual group together progressively, sequentially, hurt correlation nature, valuing fact sheet nature styles that are valuing the obfuscation of Trinity nature's simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means when Wade redeems. Identities, the course of black and white. See, white survives. That's why I have to train everybody, because everyone came through criminally re-engineered campuses. So believe in me, one person who wants reparations will fight now because two, another one, not besides Thaddeus Grabowski, and one who had a daughter in my grade, criminally involved with many involved now with child sex offenders, untimely deaths tied, other predicate acts from the same cliques, intercampuses, per their families, interbranch military, and associated with like consultants of media and per their roles with policing of interstores shared and on off campuses with shared stewardships of kids used for original still negotiated with terrorism because native reactions to what in free speech because what they think is on they have convictions that they can't get off without and they have they're valuing everyone being natives the same people that are against it they want it to become for they're nuts with what they think both parties with the convictions of both parties with the physical delusions that we with and criminal foreign influences with treatments of what they call what is it conservative or liberal because no one came through how to speak. We are fact cheap in nature. Nature as value, as an identity of value, as a complete nature of value, as an unceasing semi nature relationship as a perfect system to the perfect system, which was requiring sequence treatments and demonstrations of physical delusions, intersciences, fake news, passion crimes as behavior crimes for sustained. And they're recorded using debatable force and using through time, through families, lying to family members about the locations and the conversations and the ties between other people and the sequence relationships and their family members. In other words, Phil Claw went to my mother to do business for real estate, and she sensed it because he was also rude, saying things about midgets or something like that. And this is a person criminally involved with my mother didn't tell me this, but she did tell me that I mean other a Yagman family and a Leahy family and a Fred Grouget, other doctors like and people with a Delaferro family involved criminally with WTNH and with houses around Trinity College and with fire departments and with that house with the state police and with the golf course there with the interbranch criminally involved, former families criminally involved, with identity thefts, fake ties to me, fake conversations with me, fake sequence relationships to me, database predators, and with that and with the Joey Quest and the Fred Grisey with the police chief's immediate and extended family, foreign and domestic crime rolls with databases, with drugs and stuff. As one of the kids who didn't go to my school, who lived right in front of it, involved with crimes with houses next to it, with people that were put in classes with me, where behind my back they were used for, you know, they're stacking databases with fake things, like with like a Pandol family, crimes with lawyers too, wire crimes, mail crime rolls, interbranch forging names, switching names through crime rolls, stacking illusions, identity thefts. We have triage relationships with all kinds of misprision, different opinionators, different types of people, their family members, all fake sides of correlation nature, which is Trinity, and which is its bond, which is the identity of all things at once. Allah. To the extent that every extent there is, this is a gaining volume. See, now we have each of the sciences influenced by states and areas to keep them fake care, and criminally foreign influenced tools and weapons and breaching screens to prevent free speech theft, to prevent identity thefts, to prevent religious people not free religion unless their roles, with which is really also consciously enter different religious cliques associated with the each age effect achieving nature, vertically and horizontally, both ways. Victims and uses of the reactions to it. We have them needing to hide live progressions as branches propagated this way in collusion with intercampuses already, so valuing it, not by accident. That already juxtaposed with overt criminal enterprises and by what everyone was already valuing because everyone was, blaming on other things others than on themselves. So how they had to hide their own live progressions was valuing psychology, recorded criminally involved with various natures of courts and their family members at once, criminal uses of campuses, of the identity of campuses, recorded being criminally used. WFSBs also recorded confessed crimes with Fox CT and stuff like that too, against Oprah Winfrey through the sensibilities. Then they have it as a weapon against her against others because she's forced to rely on people associated with Gail King's associations with legal guys associated with Gary Sasso, associated with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic military and prison cliques and their family members associated with predicate acts of all different natures. There's a Frankie Reese involved with fake or real, the news about the guy who escaped from a prison, from a crazy prison up north somewhere. Right. And anyways, Frankie Reese recorded confessed involved with the crimes with the Wethersfield police too, that are involved with crimes with the Fianza family, with the houses next to the state judicial branch office, and people who recorded and confessed associated with crimes with the South Sevilla and with the Fianzas over there too, across the street from them. And there are crimes with people down the street from me, Klotz family, and their roles with there's different demorals incurs with CCSU and Trinity College crimes. These are also interstate New York. And there's an Eric Jensen and a Kerr family, but recorded confessed crimes with investigators of the 9/11, with judges and courts criminally involved with them, with Russians also criminally involved with the Connecticut News Crime Acts and Election Crime Acts roles using the town offices and the mail crimes and the wire crime methods, pretending things recorded. Their motivations for it also recorded, but they're not letting free speech. They make people go into courts. They know that they're forging, switching names, put fake arresting officers, whole bunch of stacked different fake officers and locations, people that weren't even in the location, officers, all stacked together because they have different judges, male and female, forging names, switching names. These are also black and white judges, male and female. Even a black female judge is recorded with a detective Samuda, recorded with doctors and with her. He pretended he was arresting officer of me. He wasn't. And they had a whole bunch of other officers and private police of a campus that made a whole bunch of things up because they wouldn't let me report recorded online rape threats and in person screamed out rape threats and stuff. They still have online Facebook pages pretending to be sexual crime acts, even in the name. It says Ronnie Mansour's new lover. And it's a picture of me from fake news crime act article that they just copy and pasted. So they put that. So since the Trade Center attack, we've had different natures of Connecticut interbranch police and judges and people with their courts involved with all kinds of federal crime acts illusions with offensive evidence perception crimes, pretending that they influenced people so they could figure things out, but they were really trying to make mistakes on purpose, really trying to make things up sequence shift, really trying to cover up their lie progressions. Because before people I didn't know in high school made confessions, demonstrations about their crimes with these body dumping spot clicks. Yes, sticks. So what do I teach better than all these people? You know, what am I using for evidence? I studied this my whole life. Because how many years I've been online asking to report crime acts? People making grandiose allegations against me. People recorded with federal crime methods, pretending people make allegations into databases as means to pretend they had conversations where there weren't any allegations. And forging names of people to do that too. And I can't get a response because those are male crimes too, which are predicate acts because they're also Trade Center themed crime acts. And they're also actors recorded with crimes with CIA and FBI as doctors and as foreign and domestic with that. Misprision criminality, a whole bunch of people, they walk by you because if you can get put into the recorded, confessed physical delusions, the highest criminality with the other courts associated with their roles with probate courts, forging names, switching names with physical delusions recorded, roles pretending things recorded, their roles with child sex offenders and with the family members of deans and of fire departments and people associated with car dealerships because of their relationship to the police forms, the state police, stuff like that, associated with the spots at the end of the Brown Turnpike, criminally involved with the judges, family members, and this Fred Grisey. I only know Fred Grisey. After Rick, the whole time Rick Chamfillon was in high school, I had nothing to do with him. Fred Grisey sought me out to confess and record that here it was used and demonstrate he was used to cover lie progressions with the middle school that were tied to ones that started in people that from grammar school I had nothing to do with. Then they pretended other in middle school. And they had a Chris Walters who didn't even go to my middle school. Sometimes he came into my science class with they had a guy with the same last name as me, Wall, as my science teacher. And that was with people also with military, foreign and domestic, overt criminal enterprises, identity theft cliques. Like they make with girls like sisters and stuff like that. So they make all sensibilities of everyone because they make confessions through everybody because their roles, with military leadership's corrupt, with leadership, with people tied to various natures of courts as doctors, with their drug cliques corrupt, with crime methods missed on off campuses, keeping each individual group together progressively and sequentially, valuing correlation nature sabotage, correlation nature of Trinity, being a Trinity. They're keeping fake sides and fake middles consciously. They're keeping sequence shifts consciously. They're not following mandated law. They use Congress with those Me Too movements and all their narratives consciously, criminally, consciously with physical delusions, valued. because where they have the physical delusion, not even understanding the extent that consciously valuing differences with nations like Russia and China, consciously valuing the impositions of the many natures of differences there and here because they're not natural. We have the same enemy. Each modern nation, this came before our nation's founding. Choose how you would like to receive software. Wait for me to Hewlett Packard. Install important updates automatically. Install important Android. I'll just put save. Now it's going to update right while I'm talking. Can you guys even hear me? Yo, MTV Raps. I don't know if we had to get that from MTV Rap, but I mean, how long they must have said yo in the day, because rap is ancient. When was the first? If was MTV was the first people to put rap, yo and rap or not? Was it? I mean, they're the first people to do it like that. But our takes on history, real messed up because we don't have the database, illusion stacking, identity theft racket, sensibility racket. Mean I'm referring to as a racket because of racketeering influenced and corrupt organization act, the RICO statute, and regarding organized crime, and regarding the transition from ACA to RICO, which is Organized Crime Control Act, which they transferred over to the RICO Act in the 60s. Now this is associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso and with a Pandolf family and a Faenza family and a whole bunch of families interbranch associated with intercampuses. And these guys with like one guy in the news. I said I don't know what his name was. He said I cut my teeth on the Russians because they have Russian fake counters in collusion with them. They're here, and especially with psychology, with our Justice Department's recorded degenerate, a victim predators, not correlation, nature, simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. To say that these are criminally foreign influence zoning laws and worse than forsaken, we have Hartford right on top of the Connecticut River. We have people with housing projects that are like, oh, that's people who get together. The there where there are gun crimes in areas, these are campuses, intercampuses, crime rolls with with a behavior crime method where they're also pretending people can't speak, and they're directing, influencing people to say, oh, take your meds, because sooner or later when you keep when they keep forcing things not told on, like child sex crime acts, force sustained crime methods, even recorded interbranch fakes, needing that to hide their actually recorded selves because they pretended they had. These are people involved with this Leahy family and with a Brian Silver recorded and confessed involved by the court, other people in the court, and drug cliques associated with him. They also said when he was a kid, and him and other like Eric Jensen also said separately. I never saw him. I never had a conversation with Brian Silver. He said something. I know what his voice sounds like because he tried to pretend other when they tried to film other after Rick graduated because they used him right before he got into high school for crimes with Heather Hansen, a Joe DeMauro, and a Ray Colello, who were put in a middle school, summer school class with me criminally, to be used criminally with male crimes cliques that are also with predicate acts at Trinity College, identity thefts, people that pretended they had conversations with me, a whole bunch of fake things like that into databases, spoken behind my back because we're offensive evidence perception crime predators. These are people with crimes recorded and confessed from on and off campuses. and, and military police also criminally involved, like with Eric Burgess and with Emily, recorded confessed involved criminally foreign influence to roles by with Hartford Court, criminally involved with the depositions, with Hartford courts and their family members and people leading up to a 2006 case where they offered to host the deposition because former director of the FBI was a co-defendant with the other federal criminals like Charlie LeConte and Dominic Lapriato associated with Eric Jensen, who, thank God, this is our gift. This is our gift. I'll fight him for you. Who and you share the half with reparations. Who in New York or anywhere who wants to fight for it has to be for New York or wherever city you are. You want reparations. If you're one of the people online already fighting for that, believing in that, then let's set something up. You know what I'm saying? Like with this fight, this person says they want to fight me. I can boxing. I tell you things. Now this is a person that Dominic Lapriato was one of the other federal criminal co-defendants associated with Eric Jensen, recorded with his and confessed with his family associated criminally with state police, other police family members, intercity, and with houses in my area through time. I barely ever saw him in my life in my area. And then they put him in, he was living in Newington when they put him in a class with me. He's also recorded confessed crimes with UPS families with drugs, which they confirmed. And these are people with the federal crimes with untimely deaths and mentioned at Trinity College. On off campuses connected untimely deaths and stuff, confessions from their drug collects that brought up the child sex offender. Also, a Dillon family and overt criminal enterprises, foreign and domestic from different various nations, like even and then different whatever narratives with that. Also, the witness protection program. So, the Eric Jensen and Mike Kerr and the Kerr family, but they're using different names. But they're recorded and confessed by New Britain Superior Court crimes with judges that also confirm this various ways, not realized, but that's recorded. I write a complaint against the Judge Smith when I was a kid, attaching me and others to fake relationships to others, fake locations, fake sequence shifts, identity theft crime acts, physical delusions they have recorded when I was a kid. Now they're doing it, they're recorded doing it. They forced a principal sex offender. They're still attaching the kids, lying to them, like with a Joshua Julian, spreading lies about overt criminal enterprises with people recorded and confessed involved with them criminally, like a Kerr family involved also with the Morrow family with the same things, also lost Solitos with them. But the Eric Jensen wants to fight me in boxing. So now that he's involved, the one who was living in Newington but going to my house, my school in Wethersfield, also involved with people, various natures. That's the one who was criminally involved with the co-defendants of federal criminals and various natures of other federal criminals, also with KKK themed, Confederate flag themed federal criminals and military police criminally involved with predicate acts like forging names, switching names into branch, trade center predicate acts like mail crimes, fake conversations about that, forging and switching names. black and white. We have criminal uses of black and white with that. And with Sammy Vega, criminal justice rackets, his criminal uses of him, military, on off CCSU through time, sick people with criminal justice schools, criminally involved interstates through time. So New York City, these are people tied to the sequence shift proven after, but it was affected from inside the Trade Center attack context and shown to a panel of judges in the Ninth Circuit, Manhattan, right before the Trade Center attack context. Then we drove home, saw that it happened. Right before that, the panel of judges saw post dated from inside the court to appear as if they've been filed late, post dated documents that my father later proved he had hand time stamped on time. That proven led to the 2006 case with former director of the FBI, criminally involved with Thaddeus Grabowski, also as one of the co-defendants. Right before that, with involved with harassment, threats of me clicks, and identity theft clicks with police. Two Mendez brothers. Now further involved with criminally with crime roles with the forced principal sex offender. That got brought up with the untimely deaths tie. They also made confessions from strangers that fight to keep pretending that they know you. Other, you know, then in other words, in other words, they need to pretend illusions out here because they need courts to pretend they don't realize things that they can't pretend on paper. I had nothing to do with Rob Rodriguez. That's why after he's already caught involved with the on-off campuses untimely death clicks, he confessed that he's got a relative that's a nurse involved with him criminally. I never had anything to do with him. I walked by him once when I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? Outside of campus, because I never saw him on my school, any school ever. I don't even know if he went to my school. Rob Rodriguez, he's associated with the Morrow family criminally too. That I only know in context they couldn't be honest about many ways because they're involved with the courts, crime acts, and face. See, and the Fred Grisey, I never saw him with Fred Grisey in the same location. That's how I knew Fred Grisey was tied to the confessions with the people that were put in my with the neighbors. See, there's also the Ray Claw. That's a house that was the former police chief's years ago. His girlfriend reportedly, and now it's the new police chief and his foreign and extended family. I don't even know his daughter's name, but she went to my school involved with a Mazzucato bakery in Hartford and a modern pastry that Fred Grisey and that John Maiano recorded, confessed, the moral said criminally involved with them. They've been lying behind with a Cololo family, demonstrate, confess, record that too. And that's tied to something with O'Brien's and with Russian families and criminally involved with both corners of the principal sex offenders campus, other campuses, like a Kinsella school, criminally involved with police with sexual harassment of and abuse and pretended racism against women, Saudi women, that because they use other Saudi women and those women attached to fake narratives with a Scalora family associated with the other Scalora. There's a Saudi woman that works at Nordstrom. I don't know her name, but she's recorded and confessed with all kinds of people associated with a Scalora family with federal crimes with CIA recorded and with Russians and with Italian families with identity thefts, with crimes with psychology in Italy, in France. That's why they have France. The guys can't defend what came because he's speaking how he's trained to because they're going to be lifted as knaves, fake maturity, fake integrity, each position, expertly. groupthink lean, mission creep, worse than mission creep. That's why George Washington had to leave slavery entrenched in Connecticut, overt slavery, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, even though he had this French general's help. That's why we had to agree. I mean, demonstrably, he wouldn't have helped unless we had to agree that we do what we did in World War One, because the same crime method was entrenched here that was entrenched there. Sickly, distinctly, specifically to keep out sickly, non-distinctly from being discerned, because it's exploiting the way our lives simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly simultaneously onto and as the value of each position of fact, treatment, nature. As it's simultaneously distinct and non-distinct value from the rest of space and demonstration of this. This is science. I'm not asking you to believe a religion here. This is the science that English was revealed to teach. Alpha is value as nature. Omega is value as nature, as semi-nature, to a complete nature that is discernible. And that is further semi-nature, unceasingly, inherently, actively, and progressively simultaneously. Yeah. See means appear. The means are clear. Insidiousness, criminal insidiousness nature is clear as well. So we have a fight now. We have people associated with Trade Center crime acts. In the Trade Center attack crime act context, interstate crime acts with fake news, various natures of agencies. I mean, yeah, foreign and domestic, and private, and fake news crime acts, inclusion, criminal uses of their corner, criminal use of the corner of Fox CT, right before a 2006 case with the defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. No, before they made all the recorded criminal uses of pretended integrity of Mueller and of Comey and of Mueller, hiding the sequence shifts, hiding recorded election crime methods, hiding recorded, in other words, crimes with like a Gold family also with this Washington identity theft clicks, fakes. I use these names because I never had anything to do with the Gold family. She pretended other with passions so she could pretend when I'm in response out of anger that that came first. In other words, she made no sense. In other words, that's what they're doing. One of the ways they're hurting the kids with what really they're what women, because the women don't have sexual urges to hurt girls, but they're doing it. Their roles doing it consciously. In other words, covering it up, pretending they don't realize consciously. They're needing to hide their live progressions and their little interbranch fakes with their kids. And my name, get them off my name. You see what I'm saying? Get lost. Fix the fake news crime acts, still with the pictures from it, online also with fake YouTube pages and with sexual harassments and pretended prejudice against one Saudi woman. They've been sexually harassing and stealing the idea, attaching to predicate acts in their narratives, predicate acts of their own, lies in their narratives with evidences since the Trade Center attack context, because they're trying to hide those same people who are facilitated to crime roles with the sensibilities victim or victim predator though of Nordstrom's recorded many ways involved criminally too. On and off campuses, CCSU, Trinity College, criminally involved. insurance police, policing and stuff like that, military police, foreign and domestic, Kuwaiti military, also crimes with the deans and with their family members, forging and switching names, other identity theft crime acts, attaching me to fake relationships, conversations, and sequence relationships to people from my town, inhabited bases on and off campuses, criminally involved. Lena's Pizza on Park Street, criminally involved with criminal justice rackets, interstates, fakes, with the name Alicia, with sexual circles, involved criminally with a detective Samuda, and with judges involved with him with sex offenders, drug crimes, pretend I was in a hospital he worked at. That's why we have people when trying to report sex crime acts. Everyone goes, "Oh, go take your meds," or something like that. And then those are also the ones that talk to you like they pretend they know you, like, and they fight to like a Yagman family tied to the Leahy family, recorded through time, drug crime rolls, identity theft crime rolls, interbranch evidence crime rolls with his brothers, with other houses around that corner, like a Pandol family, criminally involved with the CCSU, intercity. People with a son of a guy from Glastonbury. Forget about it. They just people stack names of haters, valuing fake sciences. That's why it's so simple to afford to pull people of Hartford, especially, right on top of a dump. What do? They put the dump right there. So they're not using the water to carry it away because they're just stacking it right there, taking away what is owed. Native, which everyone is native. So the more you devalue Native American rights, the more you're devaluing your own. Dear God. Now, see what I'm trying to tell you. God, this is a value G. This is inside logic. There are two natures of God. Male, female. At the same simultaneously. In other words, there's one nature of the identity of everything. The science of discerning it involves the alphabet as an equation, whereas in how our volume of nature, as an increasing nature of volume, is a complete nature relationship to itself that is positive or negative. It's only going to stay complete nature. And that's a relationship to its system, though, that these are tactical ulterior from. I forgot what the point what was so important. So value G is inside this, and this is left to right and right to left at the same time. That's why it's important to understand either or both. It's important to understand the quality of sequence nature treatment of the Quran and of the Old Testament. Not by accident, we have the sequence shifts missing where it says all you have to do is understand this first part right here in the Old Testament. They obfuscate that with the New Testament because they're changing, they're keeping states and areas defenses of religion and of sensibility defenses of it with physical delusions, with debatable being used as sensibilities as weapons, preventing what is not debatable from demonstrating sequence shifts, physical delusions, and criminal foreign influences over states and areas takes on religions, down to their roles with where people are dying, like hospitals. like homeless shelters and stuff like that. They have criminal uses of them because they have life progression needs per these locations used for all the criminality, all the natures of drug crimes, drug cliques associated with this Leahy family, with this Della Fera family, the Spada family, involved with various natures of, as victims, but as victim predators. They're making me use other people's names because they influence them through time to need to cover up now what is also tied to the Washington Trade Center and two speech classes I had criminally. Involved also with houses in my area, further criminally involved with uses of retired and standing associated with the police chief and the rest of the interbranch forging, switching names, pretending things were recorded, using wire crimes, even email and fake YouTube pages, fake Facebook pages, pretending to be me, committing fake passion crimes. I want them to pay for my divorce now too, pay her, and, and pay Hartford Hospital because you're gonna have to pay now. You have to lie to the attorney general, or start saying sorry to him real fast too, of the United States, because the state's attorneys are also recorded and confessed to me and to others, switching names and sequences, forging names, crimes with consciously with sex crime acts online, and then in cases to hide it, forcing the Britain Superior Court recorded torturing and threatening my mother not to say anything about their crimes with Trade Center attack crime clicks recorded with their drug clicks in their right in their court, and as ones criminally involved with the other courts leading up to that, leading up to the 2006 case with them criminally, with what I tried to report. They're trying to cover live progressions. They don't let things reported because no one follows the rules, and they break the rules. All kinds of rule crimes, sequence shifts. Forget about it. Trade Center. You want me to fight for you? The guy, the guy who's associated with the Trade Center attack context sequence shift that was affected from inside the Ninth Circuit proven. The guy tied to the federal criminals associated with child offenders that are associated with their former director of the FBI. You want me to beat him for you? I'll beat him bad. He attached me to threats. He's involved with the clicks with the fake YouTube pages and Facebook pages for the language they use. I don't know exactly who it is, but I know the whole clicks since 2000, since before I was a kid, before those there were sequence shifts because they made confessions from strangers about those locations. Even and especially if that was made up about the serial killer, the guy in that news article recorded and confessed with them crimes with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, and that tied to the witness protection program, ties to the houses in my areas, also recorded and confessed, further involved with further active child offenders, wire crimes, criminal uses of the houses in my area with FBI, CIA families recorded and confessed, online even. In other words, online because they need to pretend they know me now, pretend I was in locations I never was before. Because them and their family members, degenerate scumbags, recorded all kind of behavior crimes, criminal foreign influence, physical delusions with the sensibilities of online platforms about how you can counter things or what, because they're keeping aggression and fake care with physical delusions, criminal foreign influences, breaching screen, fake patriotism natures. Don't say just because you fought, you know, that's something, blind sacrifice is something exactly what people who didn't even fight, they're doing it every second. And in other words, they're using everything that is pure as a breaching tool to keep fact human nature from demonstrating what really we can do in 1 second for Hartford, Connecticut, etc., etc. they had bad people with this see, because also further tied to the child sex offenders with CCSU and Trinity College through time were our interbranch with this Lena's Pizza and the Finds family says that Allegro's Cafe is also criminally involved with this, and that's also one of the houses on off Two Road Highway where it goes into Hangdog Lane with the Burl Turnpike criminally involved. All the police forms, foreign and domestic, DACA collects criminally involved. I never had a conversation with anyone in my life with that Cedar Hill Cemetery. My father used to live there when he was a kid, right next to it, near there. The recorded and confessed involved with the police forms and the judges. Also, all three of those spots, the place right directly at the end of the Berlin Turnpike before the Heart of Hartford, the grave spot in the middle, the golf course on the right of it, and Cedar Hill where J.P. Morgan's buried, who had to loan money to us to fight the world wars. Note that George Washington, that and how George Washington had to come here to leave overt slavery, even with the French general's help, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. He didn't want that slavery. George Washington was a fact-cheap nature slave. What wants and needs to pretend to believe other is using quality of fact-cheap nature premises treatments, sequence shifts, valuing physical delusions and sensibilities toward and to the maintenance of the intersciences, valuing exploitations of what originally and still bonded a whole bunch of crime methods and liars and styles of lying, fake sides of issues, fake middle, to keep that everyone blaming others, and selves as a crime method. That's why they don't want Mao spoken about demonstrably, per what I read. This is why whenever they speak about our founders, they're lying. The Marbury versus Madison. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not performing. Marbury versus Madison means this is what my father taught me. He's an accomplished pro se litigant, benefited NLRB law with one of his case victories. Marbury versus Madison really means real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice. Free speech, free religion, fix the sequence shifts, fix the fake news crime acts, multi-front with the courts. So that makes the nature of those crime acts and actors stacking up, but it also makes them worse than that. That's part of the extortion roles and the roles with crime acts, like with mail crimes, also recorded and confessed, tied to people as or just having used his name of a Joe Aiello. He's tied to that anyways. Anyway, online, federal crime acts with evidences, reception, illusions, offensive evidence, reception, crime, illusion stacking, slanders, gun crime rolls, drug crime rolls, identity theft crime rolls, crime as one's next to campuses. Also, there's Niall's Kitchen next to Buckley High School, also criminally involved. Also, DeMorrow's food place, stuff like that. DeMorrow's, who knows the DeMorrow's from Franklin Avenue? Who knows modern pastry and Mazzucato pastry? Mazzucato tied to the police chief's daughter. And they're involved with some child sex offender with their campus, with their kids, use their kids criminally through time. John Mayall is criminally involved with it. Fake news crime acts. I'm going to show you too, because there's going to be more with a Kinsella school. and with various natures of networks, with their police private. Also, Fox CT crimes with Los Solitos through time, and with that corner further with two Mendez police involved criminally with the crime acts, interbranch, forging names, switching names, but they did it before the him too. But then they did that to force a principal sex offender. These are also Sandy Hook. Remember the shooter from Sandy Hook? These are child offenders, intercampuses, police forms, private and foreign juxtaposed crimes with overt criminal enterprises, also with the principal sex offender. In my town where the state judicial branch offices are, also criminally involved with this, and the Fake News Act, Crime Act clicks. Also, a Dillon family and others with my new and past neighbors criminally involved. I don't know their names. They're starting fights. But no, those people are degenerates anyways, though. Recorded. Recorded. These are the foreign and domestic collusion with this area and intercity through time. The identity of the ground is being played here. We're going to counter as native. That's what we're going to train. So you want to play the game or train? If you want to play the game, you have first have to train because they often gain them up front, and you will get the reward because then we have now the means, New York, to fight this person, to force now physically, physically, always to force counters to where you've never been able to counter. You've never been able to have free speech, act inherent, active, and progressive at the same time, sequence, nature, true. Not once did you have that, America. Not one modern nation. Every modern nation is in an identity of negative value, nature, progression, grouped to each individual, grouped and together as a species, as a nation, defending database relationships. You see, suits and ties and counters don't understand because they're victims, but with defending fact sheet natures, value are already valued, defended criminally foreign influence delusions raw. Criminal foreign influences not sourced by one nation. This is to know criminal insidious as nature's relationship, nature of relationship to itself. Nature is identity, is identity's course. I'll drop the force, boxings. I tell you things. I'll drop the force. This is the only third thing that's. This is the Allah is the only thing that surges through all things alone, whatever name you call it. Per this science, not it's not saying just because it's saying per this science, this is the name. This is the name. Where people aren't following this science, it's as long as they're trying to follow one and try to really understand reality's identity of progression here, it values them more than people are getting it wrong, making wrong convictions about Islam, about the value of the sequence treatment of it, of Islam. All the religions are recorded mistreatments of the value of the sequence nature. All that's up right up front, and then they're just talking anyways. And anyway, and that was anticipated because they're criminal insidious natures. Now, to say what a criminal insidious nature, this is related to the organized crime method. That Bond did a whole bunch of liars, a whole bunch of crime methods, hiding that. Since before our founders' births, many nations, entities, and criminal enterprises, more than England, and then private too. This already divided the Native Americans because that was its value. Not just to have them divided, but to have pseudo unity kept, valued, and in value progression valued as negative value nature, lethal IDs, played causing we're in a tactically denatured relationship to nature, specifically to keep negative value nature progressions, acts in natures, like life progressions, like predicate acts, like male crime facilitated by a criminal enterprise, influenced by a criminal enterprise, is a predicate act. A criminal enterprise interstate, like more than 3 states, or internation, like with the Trade Center attack context, predicate acts proven and further tied to those, like the mail crime acts against me. I'm stealing my identity. The sequence shifts, crime acts with kinetic cases, with the people, with the crime acts, with with the people on off the state judicial branch campus, and with the Fianza family there criminally, intercity with them through time, crime acts with them also with elections, wire crimes, pretending things recorded. All we need is recorded for evolution. They want to play chick punk fact cheating games because invention got better, but nature continued to get denatured because we're in a tactically denatured relationship to nature. It's going to continue to demonstrate it with negative value nature progressions because that's its system. So Leaf of IDs forced away from here. The value of our volume. A little bit more of inherent value going away from here. So we'll examine this. When we are positive value nature, our nature of volume is overall up, is the value of value Y. And that connects with the top of value Z. And that points back towards A. Come on in. That points back towards A. That's evolution here. That's our volume as a quality of delusion, as a quality of diffusion, positive that is also positive unto itself. And so shown as the increased value and volume here of value as nature. And when it is not positive unto itself also, it is forced away from here, Leaf of Hadis, force space nature transfer. Nature again being the identity's relationship to itself, the only complete identity. So the pendulum of outer space will seize, or we do first within through this game. We lost since modern nations, every modern nation since founding. Every modern nation was built to need to counter criminal insidiousness nature, criminal foreign influences that weren't sourced by one and are valued by states and areas in collusion against chiefs, against leaders. And that's forcing them to stay in collusion against us. It's forcing them to entertain. Well, that's liberal. Fake science, inter-science fake. And that defended value, breaching screen, breaching weapon, breaching tool. Fool! The rain still falls from sky to concrete pool. Fool. Do not be. All we need is recorded. YouTube, please understand that now you have agencies originally still criminally foreign influenced. They have a whole bunch of Facebook pages, criminally used crime acts, sex crime acts, used lies, illusions typed, used to force a principal sex offender or more recorded with his campus further, and with the ones in Hartford criminally involved, and businesses next to them criminally involved, and like with a Scalora family, intercity and interstate, with the police forms foreign and domestic criminally involved or overt criminal enterprises with the as identity theft clicks roles. Prepare your souls. Well, so we have means now to counter an Eric Jensen recorded and confessed to involved crimes with interbranch and with overt criminal enterprises with KKK themed, Confederate flag themed predicate acts clicks, also military, criminally foreign influence, uses them through time, their family members, foreign and domestic, Kuwaiti military too, deans forging, switching names, how they're motivated to it, how CCSU is with DACA families criminally involved with them through time, identity thefts. See, they're influencing people, whatever reaction they have, they're exploiting because it's sustained, and no one's going to be. This is exploiting how they bond a whole bunch of natures of crimes because they have a whole. They already have originally, and still they're keeping people valuing as opinion natures, needing exploitations of how types of experts are forced relied on by types of jobs, by types of identities of the law. So by relying on types of experts, that the justifications that a whole bunch of misprision manifest fake sides of fact treatment nature, of correlation nature, of Trinity's value. And that can't be defended in us at the same time. I forgot. Okay, so I'm gonna go now. What is this? 1 hour and 52 minutes. You should watch this, people. If you didn't watch, this is all you've ever missed. So we'll examine. Then when our nature is positive, also positive unto itself, it's overall up. When it's overall down, so how could that be? It's not even moving. I'll prove it to you. You gotta follow mandated law. First, you got priorities. They're using jobs, time, needs for people to use this other value nature system to get money as means to see. They're also attaching truths to lies with the identity thefts and with what's keeping so much violence besides the violence that's officially furthered by the counters to it, because those are the locations and types of experts that are manifest with like they're valuing child sex offenders because they're needing to hide live progressions, so they're needing to force types of crimes where they have reactions where they're going to be the only ones with their misprision already criminally foreign influence groups need controlled, influence, weapons, breaching screens, forging names roles, drug crimes roles, all motivations to it, even as women interbranch. So you want to learn how to fight, we'll do it for value as fact treatment nature. We'll do it physically too. I'll beat the rest of the the Trade Center attack, people like this Eric Jensen wants to box me. I'll do it for charity. And, he's a victim predator. We'll force him to give a statement, or I'll demonstrate him lying anyways. Anyway, let's fight. Let's make this fight, New York, to fund, won't be able to fund reparations, but it'll be able to fund something that can be owned for reparations as a path, that could also be owned for what New York can share. And then together, that's valuable. So you guys could make it, and I'll just keep telling you, stacking means into it. Like, then people want to pay advertising, they want to be associated with you. But I need someone who's a hardline reparations. Because as long as you care about that, then you're really trying to get justice. Even if you're wrong about how your fact treatment natures and convictions and defenses of it. See, they're saying they're lying about how people are right or wrong. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying how to counter what's forsaking people lower than what is acceptable and pretending that has integrity. How to counter it is here. The means are right here, right now, recorded. It shows interbranch forging names, switching names, pretending things recorded. Like by putting things in quotes and pretending